the human component of this is very important. So the first 18 months we've seen, if ChatGPT was the firing, shot at the beginning of the race, we're 18 months in. And what we're seeing now is the value of domain-specific expertise and human capital in developing these systems. So we're far beyond where you're just using an AI chatbot now, where it's a co-pilot for what you do, but it's integrating, human intelligence and massive amounts of data, decades of data, rich data sets in domain-specific areas, and applying that to where you really can actually leverage this capability and build systems that are resilient, that are transparent, and that have the expert at their heart. So you have the ability to, through these systems, understand the response you're getting and know exactly what piece of data got you there. So this level of granularity, this level of engaging experts in the process to build domain-specific large language models on top of the richness of what you get today with the standard foundational models is completely an empowering moment for enterprises. And we're starting to see, not just efficiencies, but completely new ways to deploy human capital by, leveraging these models. So I think it's such an exciting time. I'm going to be the optimist on the side today, because I really believe that this is the most empowering and enabling technology of my lifetime, and I've been at this for about 40 years. So the US, of course, comes at it from a market perspective, but also existential risk, and the EU comes at it from a, more rights, human rights and privacy rights. So it's really quite a good nexus right now, which is why governments haven't had to rush to fill the gap, because there's a voluntary set of, people complying with these regulations that are, or not regulations, but these recommendations that have been made. So the companies are uploading their data, they're being tested robustly. So my advice would be, like, the number one use case that concerns me most is, and it's the most advanced AI systems that we have in the world right now, and that's ad tech. I mean, I was at Facebook when we launched the brilliant system that captures your attention and keeps you engaged for days and days. And that is all wonderful and good, but when ad tech systems merge with surveillance or personally identifiable information, we are seeing things like disinformation campaigns, being able to manipulate and manipulate public opinion, and that's important for enterprises as well, because we're talking about enterprises right now. Like, if your brand is somehow part of a campaign that then educates the public in a negative way, that's a really big risk for the enterprise. So ad tech systems that target people and bringing that sort of like personal surveillance into this equation, I think, is one of the riskiest areas. And up until now, governments haven't done anything to regulate that area. And what I'm finding really encouraging is again, we have a concentration of power of a few companies that are quite powerful in the space, building the models, the foundational models. And, over time, hopefully that will change with open source and various other things. But the people who are sort of leading are also leaning in terms of, being receptive to creating the guardrails and to recognizing potential risks. Like, I've been really encouraged. This is very different from social networks and the fact that, it was more about like optimizing for revenue and profitability. Whereas in this case, there is kind of an altruistic vein through it, where people are, the leaders of these companies are thinking about safety first, and they understand the power of these models, and they understand the potential of them to be manipulated and for people to be harmed. And they're taking progressive action up front, which I think is a change. And I think that's very encouraging.